financial stress is a retention problem, not a personal problem.
Can you imagine, Steve, how not it's one thing to be distracted at work, but when you're sitting at work and you're financially stressed as well, and the studies have come out that almost 2/3 of employees report financial stress.
Yeah, it's a mind-boggling number to me in terms of how stressed they are. And then you see it time and time again. And I think that same research that you're referencing was saying that when they're financially stressed, they're actually spending time at work. And so it might be an hour here, an hour there, but I think the numbers were about 3 hours per week of business time is actually being spent on personal finances, which is obviously not what the business is looking for, not great for
Right.
the employee, but yeah, that's a big impact. And we've seen that in our presentations in terms of, unfortunately, most folks don't get that personal finance training in school. We teach science, we teach algebra, we teach all that, but personal finance is not one. And so that seems to be the part that at least I've noticed when we're doing our presentations that people really perk up on is what is that trick that I can do? How can I figure out how to save? And so when we start talking about the 50-20-30 model, where people are setting aside 50% to the needs, 20% to the savings, 30% to the wants, it's a great guide for them. It's a great operating system for them because they can actually have something they can apply tonight when they go home to be
Yeah.
able to look at how much they make and then how much they need to put toward each of the different
Mhm.
components.
Yeah. And the one thing, and you and I both agree, we're not advocating you don't enjoy life. And that's the thing that I think a lot of times people come to financial planning or budgeting. They think, okay, what am I going to get? What am I going to have to give up? Well, you may have to give up and make some modifications, but we also encourage people to reward themselves. And so the beautiful thing about the 50-20-30 model is we're leaving some 30% there for all the wants and fun things in life that if you're doing what you need to do or you're getting closer to that 20% in savings, reward yourself. Go have a latte. Go have a dinner out or whatever you want to do. So we're advocating life's trade-off decisions, but also a balanced life to move toward your goal versus further away from your goal.
Yeah, and that structure just reduces anxiety. I've seen it when, 30 years in the business world, corporate world, having hundreds of employees, that was something you could see when people have structure that really helps everybody. And then the anxiety takes it away. So they're not spending time at work. And then retention's a big problem too. If people don't have that structure, if they don't have,
Yeah.
the personal finance skills, they're more likely to be job hunting because I think we've seen time and time again, you've seen it, I know, regularly, is that people think that it's my job that's letting me down. Maybe not, maybe I need more salary. Maybe it's when really it may not be those things. It might just be your spending, it may be your structure, it may be some of the other things that are hurting you, not necessarily what the company's paying. And these companies, we spend thousands and thousands of dollars trying to recruit the best and brightest folks for our company. And then the next thing you know, they're out job hunting because of something that really had nothing to do with the business at all. Employers are always looking for ways to develop their team, not only with tools in terms of doing their specific job functions better, but just being well-rounded. Maybe we talk for just a second because this seems to come up a lot on the presentations and then also the podcasts that we've been on. And that is when you talk about the 50-20-30 save first model that we've got, 20%. I just, that's a big number. I can't pull it off, especially for somebody that this is a new concept where they haven't even thought about saving at all. And so what do you recommend, like when people come in and they're like 20% just isn't doable and maybe they're thinking that it's an all or nothing thing? What do you recommend?
Where are you currently? What are your options out there? Typically, we do see a lot of great things when people are signing up for enrollment benefits and their 401ks. I'm seeing it to be more commonplace that people are definitely taking advantage of the match. So let's just say the average is a 3% and a 3% match. So there's 6%, right? So 3% is coming from your paycheck, and then 3% is coming from your employer, probably up to a certain dollar amount. Every plan's a little bit different. But then above that, it's like, okay, well, let's move on to whatever else is next. And savings above that line is usually where the discussion's at. And where's that going to come from? And we don't think we could spend less, but if you treat your personal finances like your own business and be cognizant of what's coming in the door and what's going out the door, there's ways to save. I think even every company, there's ways to save money in every company as well. So I encourage people to sit back and say, where's the leakage? Where's money leaving that I don't really realize I'm missing or I'm losing every month, and can I reapply that to something else? And I think just making sure you're a little bit more wise on your personal finances, and I think the credit card statement doesn't lie. I think that's one place to really look. Where are those charges that I wish I could do a do over and not have done what I did? But the thing is, I really tell the young people when we have our presentations is don't beat yourself up for past mistakes. The next best decision is your next decision, and that's what we have to look forward to. Is how can we change and mold behavior moving forward?
Yeah, that's so true.
That's where it's you're working towards your own financial independence, whatever what your financial freedom is. So then, if you know what that potential lifestyle you want to have when you're 60, we just back the numbers down and work on a game plan that's specific to you. On the other hand, Steve, as we know, some people are not that ambitious. They don't think they need certain amounts of dollars at retirement to live off of. So it really needs to be a customized plan. But there's two things. I think it's awesome to get started and start putting money away. Plans can always change, but also don't get so hung up on how we invest the money. That comes with some education through the book as well on where you put the money. So I don't like when people get so hung up on, I don't know what to do with my savings for the future. Well, even a checkbook or a savings account, not that we're recommending that, at least you're doing the most important part is actually putting money aside and not spending it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's just the first step. I know we've talked about time and time again, and that's usually the first thing in our presentations to businesses that we always say is don't get caught up in the 20%, just get started. Take that first step, and that first step builds momentum. Once you notice 1% or 3%, 3 or 4% getting whatever your 401k matches out there, I think you'll find that that money isn't really missed. And then the next thing you know, maybe the next year you're able to bump it to 10%. And then eventually you get to 20%, hopefully. But even just if you can do the small stuff, at least start with something.
Totally agree. It does add up. It's amazing. Now, the trick is obviously as you build up those reserves in a brokerage account or for your future savings is, when 1,000 turns into $1,000, that's exciting. Then it turns into 5, 10, 15,000 and it starts really snowballing is to fight those urges to take money away from the plan to do
Mhm.
something different. And,
Mhm.
sometimes you got to do what you got to do when that life plays tricks on you and things come up that are unexpected. But that's kind of the difficult part when people realize how fast it accumulates. Then the shiny object appears and the money goes elsewhere before the plan is carried out through retirement. Being disciplined. It's just going to take discipline that we talk about delayed gratification.
Mhm.
What are some things I can do without now to have a little bit of an easier life in the future? I think that's
Mhm.
way people really need to kind of approach those decisions on bigger purchases or even the smaller purchases that add up over time. Is do I really need this? Or is it a want? And if it is just a want, how much of a want? Are
Mhm.
there other wants in front of it? What's on your bucket list? But the visualization process we talk about in the book is something too that you got to really be able to see it, feel it, what your goals are, what you want life to look like when you're in your 60s or 70s, I should say.
Yeah, that's so important because we all are moving toward a goal. And if you don't really have a goal in what you're saving, sometimes it's hard to take that first step. But as I know you've talked about and you talk to your customers about, we talk about in the book, really having that goal out there. Do I want to be able to travel more? Do I want to retire early? Do I want to give more to charity? Whatever those things are, is so powerful in terms of motivation to be able to help you reach those goals because you've got this big goal that's sitting out there that you're working toward.
Yeah, let alone less financial stress at work. You're going to become a better team member for your team. Ideally, depending on how the hierarchy is, if you're the company that a person works for, you can start then focusing on how I'm going to move up the corporate ladder and really better yourself through those channels and not spend so much time on that useless, wasted corporate time, but actually work in the business that you're working for to potentially move up and then also improve your lifestyle.
Yep. And help out your employees as you become a manager over others
Yeah.
potentially as well. Great conversation today, Mark, as usual. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.